This episode of the Buffalonian Podcast is brought to you by the Castors Podcast Network, a podcast network built with and for entrepreneurs. We cover many genres, including sports, mental health, business, marketing, and entertainment. Feature the podcast shows such as Sports Bring People Together, Limitless, Saviors of the Metaverse, and The Athletic Mindset. Learn more at castsource.com/podcast. Without further ado, let's get into the Buffalonian Podcast. The Buffalo Bills begin their playoff trip on Super Wildcard weekend, facing the Miami Dolphins Sunday at 1 p.m. Also, just recapping the rest of the Wildcard weekend. This is the Buffalonian Podcast, betting on the Bills. All right, let's go. We are back with the Buffalonian Podcast, betting on the Bills Super Wildcard Weekend edition. I'm Joe Kelly, and I'm joined by Dom Loss. Dom, be the whistleblower. Well, not really, because this is coming out Thursday, but we had some breaking news come out just before filming this episode. What do we got? What do we got?
Well, first I gotta say I like the outfit change.
Thank you, appreciate it.
I feel now a little weird being in the same outfit, filming two different pods, but
Back to back filming day, you know.
No, so. But no Tua. I think it was kind of anticipated that he wasn't gonna play. Obviously, I think we talked about it like an hour ago on the other pod about it seemed like Vegas kind of knew by the line, and all the insiders were talking about how he would be unlikely to play, but. Yeah, it's a big loss for the Dolphins because, you know, when Tua plays well, he's a top 10 quarterback. And now without him, it's between Teddy and Skylar Thompson. And
don't forget Davis Mills is on there too. Not Davis Mills. What's his name? Mike Glennon. I don't know. They're both forgettable, bald, long neck quarterbacks.
Listen, you know? Mike Glennon beat the Bills back in 2013 in Tampa Bay. So
He did. EJ Manuel.
EJ Manuel 4 picks that game. I think we looked at the game. We looked that game up on the Sabres game while we were watching the Sabres in their mission. So,
yeah.
No, I think, you know, obviously you're gonna have either a rookie quarterback or a banged up Teddy Bridgewater, which is just advantage Bills. So,
the line's 10.5-point favorites. I think they know what's going on.
Yeah, I think it's gonna raise more now that he's officially out. I would say this though, just from a humanity aspect. I'm glad. That they are taking the time to make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
Because it's been a pretty scary year for him, and I think his health is more important. The Dolphins have done a lot of things wrong pretty consistently. I'm at least glad that they've had at least the mental awareness to understand that this playoff game does not mean more than the health of Tua. So I'm happy from that perspective as well. But yeah, it's definitely interesting now with, you know, who are they going to game plan for? Obviously, Teddy has a little bit of a finger injury, so it might be Skylar Thompson, who had a very good preseason, but was pretty poor every game he played. Was not very good against the Jets last week. So that and Raheem Mostert broke his thumb in Week 18 against the Jets and had to have surgery, and he's probably out. I would assume so. It's probably only going to be
unless
Jeff
they tape that thing up like a just a mitt. Like who?
Yeah, so remember he was the back that killed the Bills in Saturdays. You know, a couple weeks ago.
We were both at that game watching that live happen. He was cutting them up. So
that's another critical loss, and then probably a couple. You know, Waddle I think is banged up. Armstead's been banged up. Then the left tackle's been banged up the entire year, and they're injured a little bit defensively as well. So the Bills, it feels kind of weird to say out loud because the Bills have been so injured, but they are definitely the healthier of the two teams.
They are, yeah.
But at the same time, this isn't a team to overlook. It's hard to play. I say this constantly. It's hard to play a team in your division 3 times. Now, granted, it does make me feel a little better that the series is 1-1. I actually would feel a little like, man, if they swept them in the regular season, It would just be kind of weird. It's just kind of hard to beat a team 3 times, so it's good
Right.
to,
It's like the
you know,
Patriots last year. We were 1-1
yeah,
going into the
they
game.
split in the regular season, and then obviously we all know what happened in the playoffs. So back-to-back years, though, the Bills eliminated the Patriots, which is fun.
Yeah, nice
But
taste of revenge for the Bills after 20 years of Brady.
it doesn't quite justify, quite match up, but
No.
we're getting there slowly but
Mhm.
surely. But no, I think obviously, those injuries to the Dolphins, it's time. There's no excuse for the Bills. Like this is a game that I don't even know should win, but just like have to win. Like there's
Yeah.
no
It's do or
I'm
die.
not like it's do or die. This team is without they're gonna play a backup quarterback regardless of who it is, who isn't very good. Your quarterback's at least I know, the elbow seems to be better, but he's healthy to play.
Mhm.
Like
And he's going to be
and you're at
hopefully
home.
yeah.
And you're at home. So
And playoff Josh is a real thing. So
yeah. So yeah, this is it's definitely gonna be a good matchup, I think, until I'd say it's gonna be close in the first half, and then the second half I would say the Bills pull away just because I think these guys are so familiar with each other. I think this is really gonna become who adjusts better at certain points, but I just think this is the reason why this game was that Sunday at 1 is because I'm trying to I'm trying not to completely bash the Dolphins completely. Like it's hard not to
it's
because
tough.
just the quarterback, just like the difference between quarterbacks. Like if Tua was playing, I think this would be a really good game. But now
Mhm.
I just think this game's I just feel like if the Bills should dominate this game, and if they don't, it's a complete disappointment in my end.
I would have to agree with that. I mean, I would like to see a New England Patriot-esque wild card score in this game, especially like you said, Mostert. I don't know how you pronounce his name. Mostert, I think.
Most
He probably, like you said, is not playing with a broken thumb. Tua is not playing. We now know as of recently. And you got Teddy Bridgewater, who sometimes has some good games, right? But like you said, he's banged up as well. He's not 100%. He didn't play last week. So I think it's going to be interesting to see who the Bills, like you said, game plan for, because there are multiple options that could take place. And it'll just be interesting in general to see how this game goes. I would like you said, the Bills adjust. We've seen that. They adjusted that Bears game. The Bears went right down and scored on them after Leslie Frazier put something together and adjusted the defense. That was it, right? Game over. The Patriots, the first time we played them, Patriots went down and scored right away, right? Or like in the first quarter. We didn't really have an answer yet. Someone adjusted, boom, there it was. The Bills are good at adjusting. I think the same thing would have happened if the Bengals game continued, but we all know that did not continue. We probably will play them we probably will play them in the divisional round. That's how it's looking right now, the way it's going, because they beat the
especially
Ravens.
both teams at home play backup quarterbacks.
Exactly.
With Lamar potentially not playing, don't know anything about him.
They would play here, correct?
Yes.
Yes. The AFC Championship's the only one affected by a neutral site.
The AFC Championship game
Only if the Bills
not be
play.
played in a team stadium if it is Chiefs Bills.
Okay. So
I said the team's playing in the game. Obviously, they're going to play in a stadium somewhere. But.
Right. No, I got you. It's just people trying to say that that's catering to any team. It's only if those two teams play. Like there's that. Granted, is there a probability? Absolutely. Is it one of the higher probabilities? Absolutely. But the Bills have to get through the Bengals, and hopefully they get through the Dolphins. Like we said, should be a cakewalk. I'm not going to say that. Actually, I'm going to knock on wood, retract my statement. Because
I think it's funny. Like if this game was in the regular season, I think we would. It's funny. It's like nerves a little bit, man. Like it's like
I've had it in the back of my mind.
If this game was like week 7, we'd be trashing this. We'd be just completely tearing the Dolphins apart. But
I would. They wouldn't see.
I think it's also from like a level of respect. Like they beat us. They played really well here in Buffalo.
They have a good coach.
So it's not like they're incapable of making this game competitive. But
they also have Jeff Wilson Jr. healthy, and he's a pretty good running back.
Again, it's. I think the fear is Hill and Waddle do like historic stuff and make plays, but I don't know. I think we'll see. I think Trey having his best game of the year last week is a huge. I think he played pretty well against the Dolphins too. I know he got beat for that touchdown, but got beat by Waddle on that one play, but he didn't play terrible against the Dolphins either. So
Gets
I
the
think
confidence back up too.
Elam's got to start again. We've been saying this all year, and I guess I'm gonna say it one more time until my thoughts are heard. But I do feel like this is a Kaiir Elam game because what teams have done against the Dolphins have played press man coverage to throw their timing off. Mike McDaniel, Shanahan scheme of timing. If you could bump someone off their route for a half second, all of a sudden, like that. I mean, it's only a half second, but in football, that's eternity. So,
yeah,
Elam's one of those guys that is good in man coverage and could, is better than Dane Jackson in man coverage. I believe. So I think we saw it against the Dolphins in December. Like Elam had a very strong game. When he was targeted, I think he only gave like 2 catches for like 12 yards. I made that really nice play on that in the fourth quarter on that screen pass. So
yeah,
I think this is a Kaiir Elam game, and we'll see. I feel confident in how the Bills' offense will do against the Stephens. My concern would be they did not run the ball very well at all until the fourth quarter, or
with Singletary.
without the running backs last game did not have a good game against the Dolphins. Like Cook, I think, had like 5 carries for 7 yards. I know he caught the touchdown into the half. Singletary didn't really have that great of a game until that last drive in the fourth quarter. Obviously, Josh. He ran for like 70 yards or something. So like this, the rushing numbers get I know how we always try and like defend the rushing attack. Like, it's not all Josh. It was all Josh that game. So
right,
it definitely got skewed a little bit. But again, Josh has been really good against the Dolphins. The Dolphins do not have a very good back seven. They have a very good front. Christian Wilkins, I think, set the NFL record for tackles made by a defensive tackle in a season. I think he had 98, which is an insane number. Obviously, Phillips is a good young edge. We'll see if Chubb's going to play or not. He's, solid. To Sealer in the middle is pretty good. They have some dudes. So it's going to be, can the Bills O-line have a good pass pro and get some gaps in the running game? If they could do that and not put everything on Josh's shoulders, I think the offense will be able to move the ball pretty. They moved the ball well in the first matchup, didn't finish. They moved the ball well in the second matchup and finished. If they could move the ball again without having to be all Josh, that had to be in the first 2 games and finish, I think they're looking at 30 plus points pretty easily.
Exactly. I would agree with that. And it's like you said, it's weird because it's nervous feeling, even though I'd be dismantling them saying stuff if, like you said, if it was like week 7, you know what I mean? If we knew we were playing them one more time, or it was the second matchup of the season, whatever, playoffs were still coming.
I think the concern would be this: if I guess like if I was the Miami Dolphins coach, my thought process would be this: we ran the ball very well in December against the Bills. We don't have our quarterback. Our defense has played pretty well down the stretch, except against the Bills.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be one of those games where I think they're going to try and pound the rock and try and possess the ball for 35 plus minutes, take the Bills offense off, and kind of a Super Bowl 25 that the Giants did. I think they're going to try and run the ball on the Bills to take time off the clock to then, not have their defense that's a weak link for the most part, but maybe can get a couple stops here and there. I don't know. It's interesting. The Dolphins really struggled last week.
Yeah.
And yes, the Jets defense is very good. I think it's arguable to say that the Jets defense is slightly better than the Bills, but in no way is the Bills defense like way worse than the Jets. You know what I mean?
No, they're probably on the same playing field. I would say the Jets have an edge, though.
I would say it's like I would consider like the Bills and Jets to kind of be the same tier of defense, but maybe the Jets to be a couple spots ahead.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, like they're not playing it's not like the Bills. This is why I'm like not incredibly concerned. Is the Bills have a good defense, and I think the Bills will figure out how to make whoever quarterback just a living hell back there and stop the run, control Waddle and Hill, and make the quarterback make some plays. And I mean, we'll see. I mean, the book has kind of been out on this Miami offense for a pretty long time since the Chargers game.
Yeah.
I don't think the Bills did a fantastic job in late December executing that. We'll see if they can execute it better defensively this time around.
Well, you see how the Chargers executed. They shut down that offense, dismantled that offense. Like, and the Bills let that offense still do some things. So I'm hoping, like you said, see it.
Also, I think this is the biggest thing, especially when it comes to playoff time. This part of the ball always rears its ugly head. Special teams, and the Bills throughout the entire season have been fantastic covering kicks. The Dolphins are one of the worst special teams units in the entire league.
Well, I think the Bills further solidified that last week.
Andrews didn't have a great year. Obviously, he makes the big 50-yarder to beat the Jets. They're not good. They're not good at covering kicks. They're not really that good at returning. I do think this is going to be interesting. I would assume if I was coach of the Dolphins, if I was McDaniel, I would say Tyreek Hill would be my punt returner for this game. Like, it's one of those situations where it's like, all right, our fastest guy, our best returner, we kept him healthy throughout the rest of the year. It's kind of like the Chiefs did last year. Like, the Chiefs never have Tyreek Hill back there, but when it mattered the most in the fourth quarter in the divisional round against the Bills, who was back there covering that, returning that kick, and almost broke it. Really should have. I think Hawk actually, who was terrible all year, made a nice play to like slow him down enough. But I think that would scare me. If I was game planning for the Bills special teams, would be like Tyreek Hill will be probably returning punts. Like, you have to make sure to not outkick your coverage and be disciplined.
Right.
Like, if you go up 10 yards, you go up 10 yards. Don't do something stupid where you try and get him for 3 yards and he all of a sudden he braces for an 80-yard touchdown. Like, I think that's gonna be an interesting chess match for the Dolphins if they do that.
Yeah. I'm excited to watch this game. I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. It'll be interesting. I want to see the playoff Bills show their faces. I want to see them be there, be in the game. Truly, it's a fact of, can they put it together? Because in going back to that first little part of the Bengals game, I don't know if you saw this. Josh looked extremely frustrated, yelling back at the sidelines.
Well, I think that was because they didn't get the plays on time.
You can't be doing that in playoffs, though.
Like, that's why they called. You know how like it was kind of bizarre that they got like a first down on the one play to Gabe Davis on like the interrupt, but they called timeout.
Yeah,
it's because that I bet you they didn't have communication with Josh and they didn't know what was going on. And that was kind of the same play that happened on miscommunication on that second and 3, and then obviously Beasley kind of drops that one ball. So yeah, I think that's going to be pretty critical as well as just the Buffalo Bills' greatest opponent on the field will not be the Miami Dolphins; it will be themselves.
Right.
Like,
and that's the mess. That's been the message for forever. The Bills do it to themselves. They put themselves in these situations.
Like, they gave the ball away, one of the higher rates in the NFL. I mean, they were really good at taking the ball away, but at the end of the day, I believe their turnover margin was 0 because they gave away the ball so much. It's fumbling inside your own 20 with Devin Singletary. It's Tywan Jones touching the ball on a punt return, giving them a field. It's throwing an interception in the red zone from Josh Allen. You gotta play smart in these situations. And it's weird to say by a Sean McDermott team that they've been very undisciplined in certain situations, but they have. I mean, they let teams stick a while. I mean, the Bears stuck around for a little bit too long for my liking.
Yeah.
Throughout the year, they've had opportunities to and it's frustrating because they did a very good job of this in the beginning of the year. We saw this at Pittsburgh. We saw this against Tennessee. We saw it against the Rams. I mean, yeah, you could show examples of how those teams stuck around a little bit, but you also show how eventually the Bills put their their foot down their necks. Like, they got to be able to do that, especially come playoff time. Like, that's how, like, I mean, look what happened to Green Bay last year against San Francisco. Like, I don't think anyone's going to come up here and say San Francisco last year was a better team than Green Bay.
Yeah.
But they didn't get they got a block punt return for a touchdown, and Green Bay messed up lost points at halftime because they didn't manage the clock well enough, and they end up losing at home. Like, that's how teams lose, is you screw up the clock, you screw around with the football, and special teams.
Yeah.
And granted, am I not super concerned with this matchup because the Dolphins special teams are terrible? I am concerned a little bit if Tyreek Hill's back there because I think he could break one. But No,
I guess the good thing about it is we know Hines can also break one. So
yeah, I mean, the Bills just have to be themselves. If the Bills, actually, I don't know if they have to be themselves because they're a little reckless. If they play aggressive with protection football, they should be fine. You know, if if someone could tell me one stat, that's not if someone could give me one stat, that's not the score, obviously, because that's cheating. But if someone could give me at 5 o'clock Sunday right now, if I could ask for one stat, if I could go in time, I would just say, what is the turnover margin? If the turnover margin is 0 or maybe -1 even, I would feel pretty confident that the Bills won the game. If the Bills end up being -2, -3, -1 turnover margin, I still think they could maybe win, but they would put it a lot harder on themselves, and I wouldn't be surprised if Miami wins.
Yeah.
Even without the quarterback, Miami still has a good enough team where it can make it competitive if you screw around. So
yeah, and I think they just need to be aggressive and put the ball in Josh's hands. And we always joke around, let Russ cook for Russell Wilson, but seriously, let playoff Josh go, because playoff Josh is unlike any other Josh or quarterback. Pretty much, Mahomes is second to him in passer rating, but this guy, when you need him, he turns everything on and goes in hot. I mean, truthfully, and I get it. Like, you want to move away from that. You want to move away from putting him on the line every game.
it's do or die at this point. I would say this,
Exactly.
though. What Bills team's going to show up? Is it going to be the Bills team of 2020 against the Colts or the Bills team of 21 against the Pats? Like 21 against the Pats, dominated right from the get-go. 20 against the Colts, got off to a slow start. Colts probably should have been up by double digits, messed up the goal. I mean, obviously they get the momentum touchdown.
There's a lot of coaching questionable decisions in that game that kind of led to our win.
Yeah, I mean, we're up by 14, and then all of a sudden up by 11, wide open touchdown, quick scores. Hines actually had a pretty big run in that game for the Colts when he was Colt. All of a sudden it's a 3-point game. You fumbled. I mean, you luckily landed on the ball. All of a sudden they're driving to kick a field goal. All of a sudden it's a Hail Mary to win the game. Like, you're looking at those situations while you're having a heart attack and being like, why is this happening? And it's because they started off slow and they did not stop on. I mean, they were up by 14 in the fourth quarter. Like, you gotta close the game out. You can't be, hanging on by a thread at that point.
Yeah.
So
no, they got to step on the gas, put the brick down, and just go pedal to the metal. And I'd love to see it. I really would. I'd love to see the Bills Pats game reimagined with the Dolphins.
Well, I think it's going to be so. I think Diggs is probably going to get his. Knox had a very good game against the Dolphins last time. I believe he had 6 catches, 98 yards, and a touchdown. So I would assume that they're going to try and take him away this time around. McKenzie had a big game. This is why I feel like, in my mind, I feel like it's a John Brown call-up, not a Cole Beasley call-up, just because the Dolphins play a lot of man blitz, and they're probably going to come after him. And as much as I'm not the biggest Isaiah McKenzie fan, I think his speed on those overs or running away from defenders, we saw it week 3 in Miami. He caught that touchdown. Like, I think he's going to have to be a difference maker. Like, I think he's kind of, a little bit of an X factor. The running backs and Isaiah McKenzie in the passing game, I think, are going to be a little bit of X factors because the running backs are going to have to perform in the passing game, but also protect Josh when they send blitzes.
Yeah.
That's a big reason why, that's a big reason why Zach Moss was on this team for so long, is because he was the best pass protecting back. So you trade him, which I think was a great decision. But
yeah, I'm not questioning that.
There's a reason why he was playing so much. It's because of that situation.
Yeah.
Do you trust James Cook to cover the middle line? He did pretty good the last couple of games. I know he got called for like that chop block penalty with him and Dion. I thought that was a trash call.
Yeah.
No. Do you trust your backs to protect? And then Isaiah McKenzie, your game is speed. If you're going to play one-on-one man coverage with a safety who's 15 yards away from you, have to come down and cover you, can you run away from that guy and give Josh an outlet?
That's why he played so well last year in that New England game, both of them, the playoff game and week in December 26th. He was speeding out there. I mean, he was just the fastest guy out there. And that against man coverage, he's unmatched. So he's just got to have sure hands. He drops the ball too much. Like, that's really it at
He's
this
got to
point.
catch the ball off his hands.
Yes, exactly.
You saw it even this Pats game. He like it hit him square in the chest and bounced down. Like you got to be able to. You got to be more of a hands catcher, my guy.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah,
no, I think that's the X factor really offensively. And defensively, it's just honestly, it's just containing. It's interesting. I would say it's contained Waddle and Hill, but also
I want
not give up
pressure on the
everything where you're
QB.
getting killed on the ground. Like you gotta kind of find some balance of not getting killed on the ground, but not letting those two guys go loose. I mean, you saw it. Waddle 3rd and 22 first matchup, and then he had the big touchdown second matchup. Tyreek had a they did a pretty good job on Tyreek in the first matchup. Second matchup, obviously catches the long touchdown, but after that, he was also kind of, I mean, like he was kind of, other than they've only really given one big play up to Tyreek the whole season. So they did actually a pretty good job of limiting him. Waddle's been the one they had to do a better job of, and then the ground game needs to be controlled. But I think that helps with Mostert being out. I mean, Wilson's a good back, but I think Mostert's a little bit better. So
yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting. I mean, at least it's the early game, so
yeah. And then special teams, I guess we'll just go. Special teams is just like, don't let Tyreek Hill break one because he's going to be back there. I mean, I know I'm like hypothetically.
No, he'll be back.
If we're talking about Josh Allen, just it's playoff time. Screw complaining about how many times he runs like it's playoffs. Go for it. If they don't, you gotta pull your best punches in the playoffs, and your best punch is Tyreek Hill as your punt returner. So don't let Tyreek break one. And the Bills were a top 5 special teams unit. They actually won their first team in a little bit that was top 5 in both special teams defense and offense according to DVOA. Show that you were a top 5 special teams unit. The Dolphins are bottom 5. Like that has to be shown on Sunday too.
Yeah.
Show that you're a top special teams unit. Show that they're a trash one. Maybe instead of getting a butt punt block, they get a block punt.
Hopefully, because then that safety really led to the downfall of the game. I would have liked to punt from their end zone more than a safety punt.
Yeah.
So,
but listen, it's gonna be an interesting game.
Mm-hmm.
Who's your MVP of the game for the Buffalo Bills?
This is going to be a cop out 100%, but I'm picking playoff Josh in this one. I think he's going to run for 89 yards. I think oddly specific on that number. I think he hits 89 yards, and I think he throws for 350. I think he absolutely just lights it off. I think I at this point he made that 2 unbelievable throws, like three unbelievable throws.
I mean, the one that was dropped by Gabe was also pretty impressive.
Yes, but unfortunately, Gabe Davis has a certain candy for fingers recently, so he hasn't caught anything. So I would say Josh Allen 350 yards passing in the air and 89 yards rushing. I'll go 90. I'll just round up. We'll do that. But
yeah, I mean, Josh is going to be the MVP of the game if they win.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, obviously, I want them to win, but that didn't mean to sound so like
so dire. Like if they win, yeah.
But to be different and to go from on the other side of the ball, I will go Tre'Davious White. Had his first interception of the year last week. I keep saying no, it wasn't last year. We played. Yeah. It was almost close. But first pick, played pretty well last time against Miami, coming off his best game of the year. Tyreek, big rival. I mean, he matches up against Tyreek, Jalen Waddle. I think he's going to be crucial, especially if somehow the Dolphins start to kind of ground and pound a little bit, and they had to send more reinforcements for the run, and maybe he gets more one-on-one opportunities against those 2 studs. I think he's going to be the player of the game. I think he gets an end.
Yeah, Tua better warm up those hamstrings, like he was telling everyone else. Like, I don't know. Did you see that clip?
No.
He's like, after the game, he's like, yeah, they better warm up their hamstrings. You know what I'm saying? And they're like, why? He's like, and then he goes, because it's cold, like to cover up what he was saying or whatever. And then the reporter's like, oh, I thought because you were going to burn past their wide receivers. He's like, no, it's cold. It's going to be cold. I was like, oh my God. I was like, this guy's really talking trash with Skylar Thompson or Teddy Bridgewater. But then again, he's Tyreek Hill, one of the best talents in the NFL. Almost said NHL. One of the best talents in the NFL.
I mean, it's supposed to be 34 and
sunny.
So
It'll be and 5-mile-an-hour winds. So does that sound like football weather to you? Quoting our first episode.
I'd say this. I think that's advantage Bills. So
yeah. That's Buffalo football weather right there. And as Mike would say in the first ever episode, go back and listen. This kind of feels like football weather. So I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I think we'll be talking next week. Hope we'll be talking next week.
I'll say this right now. Oh, we got to do our score predictions. I'll make my score prediction. We're gonna be previewing a game next week. I'll say that.
Okay, I like that.
I'm gonna go 31-14. I think it's gonna be close. 17. Probably like 10-7 maybe at halftime. Maybe like 17-7 at halftime. Just with 10 or under, and then I think the Bills come out in the second half and play Bills football.
I'm going 45-7. I think they absolutely wipe the floor with them. I think it's 28-7 at halftime. I think it's just going the Bills' direction. Case Keenum comes in for the last 2 drives. I think that's where I'm at. I think at this point I would love to see it. I really would. I know that's a bold prediction and whatnot, but I truthfully would love to see them just go and spit on the shoes of the Miami Dolphins at this point. Squish the fish. Might be another hype video coming this week. I don't know. Just like my first one, but playoffs for the offs, So I don't know. We'll have to see. Things in store. I don't know, but go Bills, and we will be doing we'll be previewing Bills Bengals next week because I don't think I would love to see Bills Ravens. I really would. That would make me even more confident if the Ravens
they would not play the Ravens.
Who would we play if the Ravens won? Chargers.
If the Ravens won. We play the winner of the Chargers, Jags. Because the Ravens would be the 6th seed, and the 7th seed would be eliminated by us if we won.
I think either way, we're in danger, I would say. I mean, not in danger, but those are all solid teams.
Let's put it this way. With a Tua-less Dolphins team is the worst team in the AFC playoffs.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's
a warm-up game.
I feel like I don't know, inappropriate. I feel like I'm being unsportsmanlike by saying that, but it's just kind of factual. So,
well, you've seen it on paper and in person.
I agree with that. It's on paper that this is the least talented team without Tua, and you are one of the best teams in the league. Get the job done, man. Just get the job done.
Get it done. Playoff Josh, playoff Bills. Come on.
I'm talking all confident now, and by 1 p.m. I'm going to be sweating through my shirt and all that. But
oh yeah, absolutely. There's no question about that.
Welcome to playoff football.
Exactly.
We first 15 years of our life we didn't have it. We were begging for it, and now that we got it, we're having heart attacks on the
Yeah, I mean, honestly, it used to be nice not having it. You didn't have any worries. It was always just, let's see who's in the Super Bowl this year. But now you have a chance to be in it, and you're a favorite to be in. Not really anymore, but you're by many picks to be in the Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles. So we'll see if that actually comes true. But let's look at some other games and just preview those a little bit and make some picks. What do you say? We haven't made some picks in a while for any games.
I agree.
So let's start it off. Seattle, Geno Smith got floored by Jalen Ramsey last week, playing against the Brock Purdy-led San Francisco 49ers. And they're hot, extremely hot, the 49ers. Brock Purdy is Jimmy G, but mobile. Exactly what that team's been looking for a very long time. A system quarterback who can roll out and run. Young guy, rallies the team around him. George Kittle loves him. It's a good sight to see. If the Bills weren't in contention and it was, say, another AFC team versus them, I'd pick them all day in the Super Bowl. I really would. I would love to see Mr. Irrelevant come in and do that. But I got to pick him here. I'm going to be honest with you. I know Pete Carroll called them a juggernaut in his latest press conference. He called the 49ers a juggernaut. So, and I think Seattle's going to put up a good fight personally, but I would say the 49ers end up winning this one. They're 9.5-point favorites, by the way, as of doing this pod. It could change, but as of right now, Wednesday at 12:30 p.m., the 49ers are 9-point favorites, 9.5-point favorites. Dom, what do you got?
You mean 4:30 p.m.? Oh, you said Wednesday. I thought you said I misheard you. I thought you said Saturday.
No. I'm talking recording.
No,
now.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. No,
I thought you said I thought you said Saturday at 12:30 p.m. I was like, they play Sunday at 4. I thought you were talking about like Pacific time. I was like, that didn't even make any sense. Sorry about that.
No, we're
No,
good. You're good.
yeah, I mean, 9.5-point favorites. This is the largest spread. I know the Bills are currently at 9. Some people have them at 10. I think the Bills one might be higher at the end of the day just because now Tua is officially out, and
Yeah.
Mostert might be ruled out early, like today or tomorrow.
And
so,
our score predictions are going to factor in. I mean, come on.
yeah, I mean, everyone's going to start betting.
Right.
No, I think this is blowout city. I mean, I know it played a divisional team 3 times, and Seattle, Pete Carroll's been there before. Geno hasn't though. This is a pretty young Seattle team. I think they'll make it interesting maybe for a quarter, but their offensive line has been really bad, and their 2 worst performances of the year have become against San Fran. So it's hard to beat a team 3 times, but I just think the San Fran D-line dominates the Seahawks offensive line, gives Geno fits. Geno, not a great performance, I don't think. I think Seattle will be San Fran will be able to, move the ball. I think this is kind of I'm going to say 35-10. I think this is kind of a blowout. I'm not going to lie.
All right. I'll hop on that with you. I like that. I'm a blowout city, like you said.
All right. So the next game, the night games, taking the spot of Pats Bills from last year.
Yeah.
Chargers. I do have to say, to make up a point, I forgot to make this point when we were talking about the Dolphins game, but 3rd different start time now for the Bills the last 3 years.
Yeah. Yeah, you're right.
They were the early game Saturday. Actually, no. Is it? No, yeah. Because they were the early game Saturday. They were the 1 p.m. Saturday game because they didn't have the Monday night game 2 years ago in 2020. So they went 3-3. So they played the Colts at 1 o'clock, and now they play the Patriots at 8 o'clock Saturday. And now they play Dolphins 1 o'clock Sunday. So there's your fun fact for you. But get back to it. Chargers are 2.5 road favorites in Jacksonville. And I will be taking the team of destiny, the Jacksonville Jaguars. I think the Jags pull the home upset. I just don't trust the Chargers. And I'm not saying I 100% trust the Jags, but the Jags just seem like they're in good spirits. They're a team like destiny. The Chargers are a team that played their starters a lot last week on a game that really didn't matter. Mike Williams got banged up. Joey Bosa got banged up a little bit too. I know they're probably good to go.
Yeah.
Rashawn Slater, I know they activated his 21 days off IR, but I don't know if he goes. And I think Herbert and T-Law, I'll give advantage Herbert, but both their first career starts, one of them's on the road. First career playoff starts, one of them's on the road, and Herbert, one of them's at home in T-Law. I think that kind of washed out the advantage I have for Herbert maybe a little bit. And at the end of the day, Doug Peterson over Brandon Staley all day, every day. Like, this dude's won a Super Bowl. This dude's out-coached Bill Belichick in the Super Bowl. He's been the underdog before. He beat Chicago in Chicago when they were on the double doink. Battled a really good, New Orleans team in 2018, almost upset them. So they're at home. They're playing well. They're playing motivated. Chargers played well. Obviously, they lost last week because they kind of gave up in the game. So they were on a hot streak too. But I just think injuries and coaching advantage. Give me the Jags by a field goal, 27-24.
All right. I do agree with a lot of what you said. I do agree Doug Peterson does outcoach Brandon Staley. I think Mike Williams and Bosa are going to be good to go. I think that's why they kind of gave up on that game. They just pulled the starters, But I'm going to go off a little bit of personal bias here, and I'm going to pick the Chargers. I know I'm not supposed to be personally biased, but I will be rooting for them just because my brother's team, he's a big fan of the Chargers. I think my biggest thing with Jacksonville, if I were looking at this non-bias, is Trevor Lawrence is still young and has those stupid mistakes. Not saying Herbert doesn't, but Trevor Lawrence has characteristically bad interceptions at bad times and bad fumbles at bad times. So I think that Herbert's a little more careful with the football. I will say that he's a gunslinger like Josh, though. So, I mean, he could throw a big pick at the wrong time. But if you have Keenan Allen, Mike Williams, and Austin Eckler out there, I think that's a force to be reckoned with. And their defense is solid. They shut down the Dolphins with Tua, like shut them down. You know what I mean? I know the Jacksonville Jaguars are not the Miami Dolphins, but you shut down Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, two of the best receivers in the NFL. I feel like the 2-point favorites are for a reason. So I'm gonna go with the Chargers on this one.
Not bad, not bad. You want to start with the Giants one?
Yeah, sure. Next game, Giants Vikings. Brian Dable. I'm rooting for him in the playoffs. So I think that I've exposed my pick a little early on that one, but I think the Vikings, it's tough. They've beaten us, right? Beat us tough, bad. Like that was awful. I remember sitting at work after watching that game and just being like, my jaw dropped. Couldn't believe what just happened, right? But I think they choke. I really do. I think they choke in like your Jackbox name, choke. I think they choke in the playoffs. I think the Giants, they're going in highly motivated. Brian Dable is the guy for that team. He's gotten them to where they are. He rallies around him. He dances with them in the locker room. He's their guy. And I think coaching wise, he's very, very competent in situations like this. Just having been with the Bills for so long, having worked with Josh Allen, having worked with that offense for a long time, he tooled the Giants very similarly. And Daniel Jones, I mean, for all the crap we've given him over the years, right? You know, Danny Dimes, he's had a good season. I mean, not arguably his best season. And he's careful with the football, a lot more careful than he used to be. He's not just slipping in midfield when he's got a big break. You know what I mean? Like he's playing competent football. You've got Saquon Barkley, one of the best running backs in the NFL. You've got Isaiah Hodgins, who's real. He's popped off over there since that's Daniel Jones' favorite guy to throw to. And I think they upset these Vikings that kind of have been hot and not throughout the course of the year. So I'm going Giants with that Brian Dable on this one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously they played a couple weeks ago in the same, in Minnesota. Obviously Minnesota won on a 61-yard field goal. But I think the Giants in that game showed a lot of heart coming back, touchdown, 2-point conversion. Minnesota's defense is not very good. The Giants' defense is very good at times. Obviously, other times they can be pretty mediocre as well. If they get their number one corner, Dory Jackson, back, obviously Justin Jefferson really went off against them last time.
Yeah.
If they could get their number one corner back to maybe limit Justin Jefferson, and if Leonard Williams could play, the Giants a little bit banged up. But I don't trust Daniel Jones.
No.
I don't trust Kirk really either. But Kirk's at home. And I'm another field goal at the buzzer wins it for the Vikings. This is like the matchup of like, do you trust Kirk Cousins or do you trust Daniel Jones?
Mm-hmm.
And at least Kirk Cousins has the experience, and he did beat the Saints in the playoffs in overtime a couple years ago. So I'm a take the Vikings. I just think their home field is a huge advantage. I think this game, out of the 6 games playing, is obviously the Bills. I think have a big home field advantage, but they're in a situation where I think both these teams are actually pretty close talent wise.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're the 3-16 and the Vikings won all those games, but I think this is where home field, especially in the playoff time, gives the Vikings a little bit more advantage.
All right.
Okay. So 4th game, I don't even know if we had to really. This is a hard game to cover because the Bengals are 7-point home favorites against the Ravens, and it's at least interesting from the fact of Joe Burrow's had his 2 worst. I know he went off last year against the Ravens. He's been terrible this year against the Ravens.
Yeah.
And yeah, they won last week, but they really won because the Ravens turned the ball over 4 times. They got a defensive touchdown. The Ravens were a complete mess. With that being said, if Lamar doesn't play, this is another 38-21 type of game. If Lamar plays, I think this gets interesting. Mm-hmm. I would still pick the Bengals to win though and cover the spread. I don't know. I think that becomes a touchdown game over the spread. I think that's where the spread's into like thinking Lamar's going to play. But for right now, I just think it's 38-21. I just think Joe Burrow. I know he struggled. I know I brought up he struggled. Playoff Joe cool. I think he comes up clutch. And I don't trust Huntley. I know he's the 4th alternate for the Pro Bowl, which is a joke. Anthony Brown was really bad last week. If either of those 2 quarterbacks play, this is a complete blowout. If Lamar plays, I think this is a competitive game in the 4th quarter. But then I would still pick the Bengals to pull away a little late.
So as of right now, I'm going with, at the recording of this pod, that Lamar's not playing, right?
Mhm.
Even though that's still very much a possibility. He hasn't been completely ruled out like Tua yet. Nothing has come out about
They
it.
said
So,
not looking good for Sunday. Faces uphill battle to play. So
okay. So I'm picking the Bengals. There's no question. Like you said, if he played, I might have picked the Ravens just as a, little spice in there, throw a little paprika in there, but I don't know. It's just, I think it's a blowout without Lamar. I think the Bengals dismantle Huntley easy. And then the last game of the slate,
Monday Night Football.
Cowboys versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tom Brady versus Dak Prescott, Jerry Jones. -2.5. The Cowboys are 2.5 point favorites. So this is interesting. It truly is, because the Cowboys, I think, played one of the worst games I've seen last week.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm sorry, like pooped. Like that was bad. Like, I don't know what was going on. And Tampa Bay kind of had a reawakening. Mike Evans actually did something.
No, it was 2 weeks ago. They lost to the Falcons last week.
Oh, they did lose to the Falcons last week. Yeesh. This is kind of a dumpster fire game.
If we're gonna be honest, it's one of those games where it's like Tom Brady I have so much trust in him to come through, and I have so much distrust in the Cowboys to come
Dak
through.
Prescott and Mike McCarthy. After last year against the 49ers, that whole clock management fiasco.
But at the same time, I'm picking the Cowboys to win by double digits. I don't think
Are you?
I think Tampa's bad. I think Tampa's legitimately bad. And if they win, it's only because Dallas screws the pooch, which it's definitely a good chance of that possibly happening. I'm not saying it's not, but
yeah.
If Dallas plays at least like half up its talent level, they should dominate this game. I mean, the Bucs offense has been terrible all year. The Bucs defense is underwhelmed all year. The Dallas defense has been dominant. Dak has had moments of greatness and moments of just horrific performances. If they just get like a mediocre Dak game, they should win. And you're paying this dude $40 million a year. He should be at least mediocre, and you should be able to win. So I'm gonna go 27-17. Like,
all right,
Dallas should win this game. If Dallas doesn't win this game, like,
yeah,
I don't know what they should do. But
I honestly
not gonna give Jerry Jones any advice.
Well, he said, they asked him about Mike McCarthy's future. Does it ride on this game? He said, no, I've got a lot to evaluate Mike McCarthy on. I said, geez, that doesn't sound promising at all. I was like, might not be the coach next year, but no, I truthfully, it's tough. It really is for me, because you watch Tampa Bay. Todd Bowles really screwed the pooch there. I'm going to be honest with you. What they were thinking,
he's
firing,
fired. I'm gonna say right now,
he's gone. There's no way.
They don't want the Super Bowl. He's fired.
There's no shot you keep him after Bruce Arians with the same team pretty much did multitudes better. Like Todd Bowles he was an okay, what was he, defensive coordinator last year?
I'm sorry, I gotta interrupt you for 2 seconds. Breaking news. Bills safety Micah Hyde and wide receiver Jamison Crowder are both practicing today. Sean McDermott says their 21-day windows have opened.
Micah Hyde returned to the playoffs? Are you kidding me?
So, I doubt he plays this week.
No.
Maybe I would even say unlikely to play next week. But there's potential where he plays in a couple weeks. Same thing with Crowder. Obviously, Crowder is a big ad too.
Big slot ad right there. It's huge.
Crowder was terrible in the beginning of the year. I'm not saying he played great, but he might be a nice guy, maybe a better Beasley at this point than you want. But we'll see about him. Hyde's the big news. We'll see though. I doubt he's not going to play this week because they activated midweek. But
yeah,
maybe next week, and that could be huge, man. That could be huge. Again, though, huge. I don't want. Hopefully, they're playing. I trust the Bills. I don't trust the Dolphins, but I trust the Bills to be at least playing with somewhat smart of his neck.
Yeah, padding it up extra.
Sorry, I had to interrupt you there.
No, that's perfectly fine. I think we talked about that, did we not? A couple weeks ago, we mentioned how Micah Hyde was seen being cleared. Yeah, like practicing without pads and off the side of the field. So, yeah, what a whirlwind that is. I'd love to see him play in the postseason. But back to Tampa Bay, Todd Bowles, Buccaneers. It's tough for me because I really want to pick Tampa Bay because Tom Brady in the playoffs is Tom Brady in the playoffs. There's no other question about it. Like you said, trustworthy in the playoffs. But Todd Bowles, in the way they've been playing this season, is really swaying me here. But the Cowboys also, Mike McCarthy, I don't 100% trust either. This is interesting for me. I'm going to go Tampa Bay. I'm going to put my trust in Tom Brady in this game. I really am. I think they win one game, and it's this game. Then they're out. I'm going to be honest with you. I don't think they go much further than this. But I think the Cowboys are a team they could beat. They play someone like the Vikings, Eagles, anyone like that. No shot. Gone. So I'm thinking this week we're good. But other than that, nope. But yeah, we had some breaking news.
We got a couple of disagrees between us. I think what you picked Giants. We got 3 disagrees, don't we?
3. I picked Chargers, Giants, and Tampa, and you picked Jacksonville, Vikings, and the Cowboys. Got to keep it interesting.
Yeah. Good luck, my guy.
Yeah, you as well. But that is going to do it for our Super Wildcard Weekend edition of the Buffalonian podcast. I'm Joe Cali. Been joined by Dom Loss, and unfortunately not Mike Marino. He'll be back hopefully next week. But Dom, how do you always end these, buddy? Special for Wildcard Weekend here.
Go Bills, baby. Squish the fish.
Squish the fish. Super Bowl 57 champs. Let's go.